see it land. I didn't even know it hit the cafe there.
Holy smokes, he did it! Off the Hit It Air Cafe!
Today is April 26th. Welcome back to the Hit It Here podcast. If you're with us on YouTube or over on Spotify, we appreciate it. This is episode 5 of the Hit It Here podcast. Today we're going to be going over the Mariners series in Philadelphia and some interesting moves the Mariners made with the rotation during this series. Joe, game 1, break it down for me.
Well, Marco Gonzalez got the start on the bump instead of Logan Gilbert. It was, the way the rotation was shaping up, it was supposed to be Logan Gilbert versus Bailey Falter, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the guy that started for the Phillies. And Marco gets the nod instead. And I don't know what this means, if Flexen's done, if they're going to call up somebody else, if Robbie Ray is looking a little bit healthier. I did see that Robbie Ray, they're going to be taking a look at him. And if he is looking like he's ready to throw, he's going to begin his rehab start or his rehab stint in Arizona, I believe. Correct?
Yep, that is right. So I don't think that, at least this time through the rotation, I don't think Robbie would be back.
No,
I think probably even not the next time either.
It would be probably like their next homestand, like after they return home from Oakland, or maybe like therefore after that. But I know I feel like the time frame is looking a bit sooner than I think a lot of us had originally thought when we saw this injury come up for Robbie Ray. But yeah, Marco got the start in game 1, and he had one blemish. Edmundo Sosa just took him Yahtzee, hit an absolute pimp job. Like as soon as he hit it, he just dropped the bat and he knew. But 5 innings, 1 run. That's all you can ask for from Marco Gonzalez. I'm surprised Scott didn't let him go out there and go for 6, but the bullpen was fresh. I understand going to your guys at that point. What do you think? What do you make of Marco? Is this back to back, just kind of like lightning striking twice? A clock is right. A broken clock is twice right a day, or what do you think about Marco so far? Carry the 4, yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand why they didn't let him go out there again, because you were about to face the meat of the lineup with Trey Turner, Schwarber, etc.
Yeah.
So maybe having those guys face Marco Gonzalez a third time might be a recipe for disaster. So I understand why they did it, but no, I think this is overall who the new Marco Gonzalez is. I don't think this is lightning striking twice, because you can very easily tell how he's changed up his game plan. He's throwing a lot more off speed. He's throwing a lot more breaking balls and a lot less fastballs. I don't remember the exact amount. I think he threw like 30% fastballs in this start compared to like probably like 50% in the last one. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think I remember Angie saying that on the broadcast. And it's just something that if you're Marco Gonzalez, and he even talked about it in his post-game interview, that he needs to have a little bit more finesse, and he knows that he doesn't throw hard. He knows he's not overpowering. He knows he needs to hit his spots and mix it up on the batter once in a while. So I think him throwing his changeup a little bit more, maybe mixing in a slider or a curveball somewhere in there. That's just who Marco Gonzalez is now. Will the league pick up on it? I'm sure they probably will. But if you look at someone like Drew Smiley, who throws 900% curveballs the whole game, and he's doing great. He's looked great. He almost threw a perfect game. Like, if that is the way, if people are so used to 99-mile-an-hour fastballs, and then you have a guy like Marco out there, the crafty lefty, just throwing change-ups and whatnot at him, and maybe they'll falter. Bailey Falter.
There you go. Bang. I know the big change, I think, for a lot of people so far for Marco has been his reduced usage of the cutter. I know Mariners Twitter is just, you mentioned Marco's cutter and it's up in flames. So it's good to see Marco understanding where his repertoire's at, how you mentioned the crafty lefty. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare him to Jamie Moyer and like put him in, try and put him on that pedestal, but like, I'm okay with it. I really am okay with it.
Yeah, and the cutter itself, I mean, that was a pitch when Marco was coming back from his Tommy John surgery, when we got him from the Cardinals, that was his bread and butter pitch. That was his best pitch at the time. So, and it took him a while coming back from Tommy John to be able to throw it. So now to see it basically shelved entirely is very interesting. And I think it just goes to show that Marco, he's got the bulldog mentality, like they all say. He's a guy who's going to go out there, he's going to compete. And I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder last year, not pitching in the playoffs for the team that 100%. He helped get there in the first place, when he was a big part of the Mariners kept him around and Mitch Haniger around because they wanted them to be the leadership for the team to bring them to the playoffs. And then when they got there, Marco didn't get to play.
Yeah.
So I think overall, Marco, I mean, it was kind of a wake up call for him last year. So I'm not gonna say that Marco's gonna go out there and have a 3 ERA that he has right now the whole year, or he's only gonna give up a few runs, but maybe we can see a little bit more consistency out of Marco than we have seen in the past year or two. So
I 100% agree. Game 2, like we mentioned, it got flipped from Marco. It is now Logan Gilbert against Taijuan Walker. I think that'll be a really fun matchup. I've loved what I've seen out of Logan the last 2 starts. Taijuan Walker, he's a big name that the Phillies signed over the offseason. We, as Mariners fans, know Taijuan Walker very, very well, as you like to call him, the
Fresh Prince.
There you go. I was waiting on you to say
That's the one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you I don't know. I think you have a bit more of an affinity for Taijuan Walker than I do.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker and I are friends on PlayStation, bro.
Yeah, you are. You got that over probably 99% of the Mariners fandom. I would be hard pressed. And in the comments below, let us know if you are also friends with Taijuan Walker on PlayStation Network, because that dude over there, Colton, I don't know how he did it, but I've seen it. I've seen it live.
Because I played games with him, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
He streamed. He used to stream Call of Duty, and he was like,
Black Ops
"Hey,
3 days, right?"
Maybe, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so I joined him for a few games, and we played a little bit. It was fun, and now we're BFFs.
But you're not going to be BFFs with him tomorrow, because we need the Mariners offense to continue clicking against the Philadelphia Phillies. Correct?
That is right.
Yeah. Get that bulldog mentality back.
Heck you, Ty.
Offense looked, I think, great today. Or not today. Yesterday. Speaking in the past here. Jared Kelenic, we all know, hit another bomb. Had a 3-for-4 day. Could have gone for the cycle if Christian Pache wasn't a great defender out there and left, I think if he misses that ball, rolls past him, and maybe the center fielder trips over a hot dog out there or something, it's possible. Brandon Marsh eats it on a hot dog. Jared Kelenic ends up staying on third. Could have had the cycle.
Then, that you would have needed Brandon Marsh to basically get
fall over
that.
And die. Sniper. Yeah, 100%. No, but Kelenic, great at the plate today, I would say. Teoscar, another bomb. What are you looking at me funny for?
Okay, so this is a pet peeve of mine.
What did I do? What did I do?
Listen, I'm gonna keep this in. I want to verbally correct you.
Sure.
His name is Kelenic, not Kelenic.
What do you mean?
Kelenic.
What do you mean?
I said Kelenic.
Kelenic?
Two syllables. Kelenic. Not
No way.
Kelenic.
There's no way.
Yeah, he even said it in an interview with the Mariners, when he first got traded. He said they asked him how to say it, and he was like, "I get Kelenic and I get Kelenic a lot. It's Kelenic. The second E is silent."
There you go. I mean, you could have told me that I don't know, several years ago, and here we are. You're belittling me in front of 4 people.
The 4 people that'll watch the podcast.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. You think you know someone? How am I supposed to know that? There's another E in there.
I gotta keep you on your toes, man.
So you're lying to me?
What? No, I'm not lying to you.
Oh, so you're not keeping me on my toes. You're just correcting me.
Well, I'm finally letting you get your feet set.
I guess so, man. I'm Googling this. I don't believe you.
He in the interview, he's playing pool.
Okay.
It's a real thing. I don't know where it is, but it's a real thing.
I've got a pronunciation guide on the Mariners website.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I'm going to find Jared Kelenic.
Jared Kelenic? Jared Kelenic?
Yo, he low-key just says Kelenic, huh? Not Kelenic.
Jared Kelenic?
That's crazy.
So, Jared Kelenic and Teoscar Hernandez both went deep in this game. Teo has home runs in 3 of his last 4, if I remember correctly. Sure. And Kelenic has home runs in his last 3 after losing his 4 games in a row home run streak he had. So, and I think 2 of his last 3 home runs have both been the opposite way. So for Kelenic.
For Kelenic?
Kelenic, yeah.
Kelenic, yeah. Yeah, I mean, both were against the Cardinals. Miles Michaelis and Jack Flaherty, had a short video go up about that, talking about how it was the only lefty this year to take a pitch on the inner third, drive it the opposite way for a home run. Monster strength. And I think the one off Bailey Falter tonight also was just smashed out to right center field.
When it was
dude got all of it. It was a slider.
It was a slider, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was a slower slider, 83. It's not that power slider that a lot of guys are rocking these days, but still, right. It was in the ding dong zone. It was high and inside. He made sure to get the barrel to the ball. but he
Yeah.
hit that ball a long way. I think it was 424 feet or something like that.
Oh, was it? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it was a deep boy.
The one that hit off Flaherty was a curveball, right? Like down and
Yeah.
in,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the fact
Broke
matter is,
across the plate.
yeah, he's seeing breaking balls this year, and that is, I think, the biggest change from Jared Kelenic, obviously, other than him having confidence at the plate,
Yeah.
is he can hit the breaking ball, and now pitchers, they can't throw Kelenic a breaking ball, and feel good about it like they could in years past. They're like, I'm gonna throw him a breaking ball and he's gonna strike out. You can't do that to Jared Kelenic right now, so I think that's just a big part for the Mariners. And is he the guy who's going to run like a 210 OPS plus? Probably not. But if
throughout
he's
the entire year,
yeah, probably not. If he is, he's the greatest player of all time.
Jerry Bonds.
But if Kelenic has, maybe what, I don't know, like 60% of this, if he's running like
through the rest of the year, yeah. I mean, he's already off to such a hot start through almost the entire month of April.
Is he player of the month for April, you think?
For MLB the show or like the MLB?
Either, yeah. I was just thinking MLB, but yeah.
I mean, Pete Alonso, Max Muncy have done really well.
True.
So kind of tough to say there. Definitely would be in the top 5.
Well, there's AL and NL player of the month.
True. Those guys are both NL. He could. He very well could. He is currently leading the Mariners in home runs. Him and Teoscar kind of having this battle back and forth. A little budding rivalry in the corner outfielders there, trying to see who's going to be the home run king for Seattle at the end of April, I feel like. I wouldn't be surprised if every single time Jared Kelenic hits a home run, Teoscar's just in the dugout just brooding. Like, I can't catch up to this guy.
Teo's like hiding the trident. Like, no
more. They're turning into a fantastic tandem. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kelenic creep up another spot and hit behind Teo in the coming days. Raleigh had a triple in this game. It's great to see him kind of get back into the swing of things. He looked like he's been scuffling a little bit here and there. I don't know if it's like lack of protection behind him or like that pressure if he was batting 4 for a long time. Yes, today was a right-handed heavy lineup because Bailey Falter's a lefty. So the lineup construction is a little bit interesting there with Pollock still in there. So I don't know. I know they don't want Kelenic to be up super high, but I think him and Teo back-to-back is dangerous.
Yeah, I think versus a lefty, I like Cal towards the lower part of the lineup because we've talked about it before that he's definitely better from the left side, but Cal, I mean, he really lengthens the lineup if you have him down in like I think he was in the 7 spot today.
Correct.
If he's that low, he lengthens the lineup, and a lot of this also plays on the fact that Tom Murphy has not looked good whatsoever at the plate. So I think there's a lot of pressure kind of on Cal right now to say, hey, you got to be the guy. And obviously he was that for the second half of last year. Obviously the Mariners didn't have, Kurt Casale was nothing. Whoever else was around was nothing. Luis Torrens. So it's like, Cal, this isn't anything new for Cal, but I mean, dude's getting beat up back there already this year. And obviously coming off that thumb surgery, it's been
scary. Every single time he shakes off like a foul ball or a ball in the dirt, I'm just like, please be safe, because we cannot lose him. I would say that is a position where if we have to have Tom Murphy starting every day for an extended period of time, you're in trouble. That becomes an even bigger glaring hole at the bottom of your lineup.
Do you think that there is any world where Brian O'Keefe sees the 26-man roster at any point this year
without injury?
Without injury.
If he continues,
he hit another 2 home runs last night. I was
going to say, if he continues to hit, and there are guys that are in that rotation of they have some options available, maybe they're just not performing in the spots that they get. I don't really know what the roster construction will look like at that point, because we're probably looking at Trammell coming back, maybe even for this game that we're talking about today, because it's a righty on the mound. Obviously, Trammell's a lefty. Maybe he gets out there and we'll see a Teo DH day or something. And he's been mashing in his rehab starts with the Tacoma Rainiers in AAA. So he's going to be there. Tom Murphy's the backup catcher. The only person I could see O'Keefe replacing would be Murphy, is what I'm trying to get at. Because you've got a backup outfielder in Trammell. You've got utility guy in Sam Haggerty. You've got Colton Wong, who hasn't been playing as much because Caballero's been looking pretty solid there at second base as well. So you've got the second base platoon bench guy, whether it's Wong or Caballero, basically. So there's not really a spot for O'Keefe if Murphy's still there. So if Murphy's still hitting, less than 100 by the time June rolls around and O'Keefe's still hitting 350 in AAA, that would be the scenario for me.
Yeah.
But then Tom gets DFA'd. How does that work?
Because he has no options left, and he would get picked up by somebody.
Yeah,
100%.
just a backup catcher, right? So
yeah, and I think with the Mariners, the other thing is with Hummel going down, they don't have like a third string like emergency catcher, which is fine right now. But if one of these guys gets hurt, you're in deep trouble.
I guess that's true. Would we see O'Keefe before Hummel, given Hummel's lack of success at the majors? I don't know. I feel like they might want Hummel to develop a bit more and give O'Keefe a chance, but
Hummel also provides a lot more positional versatility, so it's
100%
than O'Keefe. So it's tough to say. I mean, I think when you're talking about Taylor Trammell, like you said, he only got 2 at bats before he got pulled in the Rainiers game in Las Vegas last night.
Yeah.
So we don't know why yet. Maybe as of watching this, you do know why. Maybe as of watching this, he's back with the club. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I would not be shocked to see him coming to Philadelphia because there are 3 guys on the Mariners roster that have not gotten a single day off yet. And that is Julio Rodriguez, that is Ty France, and that is Eugenio Suarez. Correct. Those 3 have not seen a single day off of their feet. Teoscar has, yes.
Did he?
Yeah. Did you say titty?
I said did he? I don't remember when.
I thought it was a couple days ago. No?
Regardless. If he has, he hasn't, whatever. But
I think when he was first struggling at the start of the year, he did. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, I think, especially with how bad Julio has been lately, you got to give Julio a day off his feet to get his mind. He's been good compared to last year, don't get me wrong, but he's nowhere near the guy that we saw, in like May, June of last year.
Yeah, where he finally got going.
Yeah. So I would love to see Julio, get a day, just rest up and keep him healthy. I mean, there's been 25 games now, and there are a couple guys that have played every single game. And I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about, but that's just because the Mariners don't have any kind of depth right now with Dylan Moore being on the shelf. Colton Wong hasn't been good, so you need to use Caballero or Haggerty at second base a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it sucks that Colton Wong's 3-hit game where it brought up his batting average like 49 points was pretty much null and void because it was a garbage game. It was that final game against the Cardinals, and not to discredit hits, because when you get a little bloop, it can help a lot. A lot of major league guys say that, yeah, I'm grooving the fastball, hitting it, 107 off the bat, but it's an out. Seeing a little bloop fall in could build that confidence, and Colton Wong saw 3 of those. They weren't fantastic hits. They were very much so hits you'd expect out of a 2023 Colton Wong from what we've seen out of him. So you're right. We're not getting what we want out of him, and those 3 hits, I'm still not sold. I've honestly liked Caballero a lot more from what I've seen in the small sample size. So
yeah,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, and the hard part with Colton Wong is he got those 3 hits, but then in my opinion, that error that he made at second base, it ended up having the Nolan Gorman home run. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but in my opinion, it doesn't matter. The Mariners didn't score anyway, so they would have lost that game either way, whether he made that error or not. They scored 3 runs, and that was it in 1 inning, and that was all the offense did that whole game.
Like even without that home run from Gorman, maybe Castillo still gives up a home run to who was it? Was it Paul DeYoung?
Yeah, Paul DeYoung
hit a home run off Castillo later in that game. So then it's a 4-3 game. Yeah,
right.
I get what you're saying. That 3 runs could technically be null and void.
Yeah. So in the end, I put the blame on that game on the rest of the Mariners offense. When Colton Wong has 3 hits and he has half of your team's hits, that's your problem. You know what I mean? Like Colton Wong made an error at second base. Who cares? You didn't hit. Doesn't matter. He could have made 20 errors. Still would have lost. He could have made 0 errors. Still would have lost. You got to hit. And we saw that from the team in Philadelphia. But the offense so far has been so hit and miss. I mean, it's almost predictable to see them make Miles Michaelis look like he's a Cy Young candidate this year.
I really thought after the first inning, didn't love the at-bats I saw out of Julio and Ty. And I think, unfortunately, that is something that a lot of Mariners fans are feeling right now. And yes, guys go through slumps. It is something that happens in baseball. It's just when they're in those 1 and 2 spots, it feels like a lot more pressure to perform, I think. And that part of it also, I want to say Julio, he might be pressing. And you're saying how he needs a day off. I completely agree. It's one of those ones where the last, I think, 7 games, he's hitting like 245. Maybe the last 14, he's hitting like 260 or something like that. It's not bad. But when you've got guys who are scalding hot like Jared and Teo, it makes those groundouts, 3 groundouts in a row to Nolan Arenado, look all the more problematic. Double plays by Ty France, they look more glaring than they might appear. And you're talking about the offense being predictive. Anytime we see a runner on first base and Ty is up to bat, something Ty France GIDP something. And it's 100% right. And it sucks that that's kind of where we're at points with the Mariners offense. We saw a lot of great production out of the bottom of the lineup today. In the first game, it was very, very great to see Caballero, JP Crawford having great at-bats, but you need to see that consistently throughout the entire lineup. And once you're 1 and 2 guys, that's not sustainable for a healthy offense that is going to be, quote unquote, not be predictable, because you need guys from top to bottom being able to produce runs.
Yeah, and I think, Julio and Ty will get it going.
100%.
It is what it is. Thankfully, we have other guys picking them up right now. But when we have had Julio and Ty both be so consistent at the plate, at least last year, what we saw out of them, obviously until Ty got hurt, seeing them Bailey falter this early in the year is nice. It's a little scary, especially when you think about all the other what ifs. You thought, Ty France and Julio Rodriguez were kind of your locks to, be really good, but maybe Colton Wong and JP, you're like worried about that part of the offense. You didn't know before the year what you were going to get out of Jared Kelenic and AJ Pollock. So it's like those guys are the ones that are doing good. And then you have, the guys that you expected to just get constant production out of are having trouble right now. It is what it is. Right now the Mariners are 11 and 12, so who cares? They're like a game or a game and a half back of the Astros, so who cares?
Yeah.
It's
a long season.
They're a half game back behind the Angels. Who cares? So I think overall it brings up an interesting point, but I want you to finish what you were going to say first.
I was just going to say, you're talking about how you go into the season expecting specific results, about players, about just teams in general. I don't know if you saw, it might have been Jay Cutta, I don't remember, but the 3 of the best records in baseball are the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th highest payrolls in all of baseball. And it's very early in the season. Yeah, so the Pirates included in there. The Rays. Yeah, and so looking at that, that's just kind of funny. Just in conjunction with like Mariners Twitter, payroll Twitter, John Stanton saying all the buzzwords right now and looking at expectations. It's early still. There's a long season. Whether or not the Pirates are there at the end, if they are,
yeah,
good for y'all.
Shocked me.
Good for the Buccos, right? But we're not expecting Julio to be hitting 250 with like a 25%, maybe not 25%, like a 30% K rate by the end of the year, and Ty France on a double play machine. They'll pick it back up.
Would you give Jared Kelenic the Brian Reynolds contract right now?
Right now, low key. That means he'd be a free agent at 31, right? How long do we have Mr. JK for? Through arbitration.
2026, I think.
That's it?
I think.
Free agent's 2029.
Oh, 2029.
Yeah, so 6 more years. So we would only get 2 free agent years. 8 years, $106.5 million. It might be worth it. Do you think he would take that?
I'd be more worried about whether or not JK would take it.
Yeah, he already declined it once, and it's looking like him betting on himself panning out for him presently. 8 years, 106.5. It depends. It depends on what contracts, other extensions we would be able to lock down as well. I would still prioritize Ty and another starting pitcher, whether it's Gilbert or Kirby, before Kelenic right now.
I would agree with that. I think that overall for JK, the amount, so let's just average it out. What was it, like 13 a year if you just average it out? I know that that's not how the contract was constructed for
8
Reynolds, but
years,
it was like
106.5.
yeah,
Mhm.
106.5 KZ. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 95.7 kg RFM. I don't think those exist
Um,
anymore, but
I don't think so. So for the foreseeable future, in the 2 years that he would have been a free agent, the Mariners would lock him up for. He probably, again, if he's like 60% of what he is right now, would probably make more than that. I
100%.
personally, if Jared Kelenic would take that deal right now, I would do it. But
Yeah.
I don't think Jared Kelenic would take that deal right now. He's already said he wants to bet on himself, and right now that is something that would work out pretty well for him. Last year, he was probably like, shoot,
I should have taken that
I
contract.
I should have taken that contract, and now he's like, yeah, this is
That's
what
the
I always knew
thing
was
too.
there.
Is like 2029. That's 6 more seasons if you include this year, obviously, where we'll have him under arbitration. And arbitration's a fickle bitch where you're just
Mhm.
trying to navigate that whole bag of worms. So if you could buy him out of that situation, it might not be a bad idea to make him happier, make him a more,
Yeah.
comfortable player. And it looks like comfortability has gone a long way for him at the plate and in his approach. So maybe that would even unlock another next step for him. Yeah, 342 right now is absolutely bonkers. How sustainable that is, not really sure yet, but after that first 11 games, I was a little suspect on him. Now he's proved it through 20 games. Okay, now it's starting to look a little bit more legit. 8 years, 106.5. That's easy money. But again, what you're saying is right. Whether or not Jared takes it is that caveat, because he knows he's going to make, if he continues to play like this, by 2029 he's going to be making $30 million a year.
At least if he plays like this, he's
Especially
gonna make
like with how
50 a
how
year.
the market's gonna explode,
Yeah.
eventually, right? Everyone's just gonna keep making more and more and more and more and more and more money. Shohei Ohtani's gonna get $100 million annual average.
Yeah, we don't talk about Shohei Ohtani. I have a video coming out about Shohei Ohtani later this week. So going into game 2 for the Mariners, like we talked about earlier, it is Logan Gilbert against Taijuan Walker on the hill. But Logan Gilbert, like we said, was supposed to start on Tuesday, and it was supposed to be Marco on the hill on Wednesday. Joe, do you have any idea why they flip-flopped the two?
I think we touched on it a bit earlier with what concerns about Flexen, whether or not he's gonna be making his next start, where Ray's timetable's at. I would honestly also say just giving Logan an extra day of rest throughout the year. He's gonna now be pitching on 7 days rest instead of 6. Taking an advantage of that extra day off and Marco coming back from the paternity leave. I think it's going to show just, I don't know, a little bit more like care for Gilbert and, his approach and his longevity on the mound. The more rest you can get to your starters that are key contributors and key factors for your success, the better they're going to pitch, I'd say, unless they're weird and they're like Max Scherzer that needs to go out there every 5 days or else he's going to like blow a blood vessel kind of a vibe. Something like that. Or I don't know. Angie was talking about Diego Castillo, how he hadn't pitched since the 16th and it was the 23rd. And he's a guy that needs to go out there and get some reps. Gave up a home run in that game. So yeah, maybe she's right. Maybe he does need his reps. Maybe Gilbert is a guy that needs to go out there as, every 5th game where to be successful. And we find that out tomorrow and he doesn't do well on 7 days rest. I would be very surprised because Gilbert's got great stuff, but my guess would just be working on the longevity of his arm fatigue to make sure that he is as ready to go as he can be for success.
When I first heard about them swapping it, the very first thing that came to mind is they were setting up the rotation for when Houston comes to town. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
That makes sense.
Then I looked at it, and now the rotation for when Houston comes to town will be Chris Flexen, Marco Gonzalez, and then Logan Gilbert facing the Houston Astros.
Really?
So I don't love that personally. Because right now the rotation is Luis Castillo, and then it would go Chris Flexen, Marco, Gilbert, Kirby. I thought they were setting it up to be Gilbert, Kirby, Castillo versus the Astros. But if I did my calculations correctly, then it was yeah.
Okay.
So, but at that point, maybe Robbie Ray's back. Who knows? So
true. So Colton, with Logan on extended rest, how many innings are you expecting out of him in game 2?
You know what, Joe? I'm gonna give Logan 6 2/3.
6
Final
2/3, almost pushing the 7th. Okay,
Lock it in.
I definitely think we need him going 6. We saw a big chunk of the bullpen used in game 1. First, Brash came in right after Marco exited. We'll touch on more on that in a second. Second was Spire, correct? And then
Yes, and then Tope.
Big Topa. I've loved what we've seen out of Topa. He's been
really good.
Very, very good. And then obviously Paul
his
Safewald.
pitches when he went like I want to tune in just to see how much his pitches move.
The amount of run he gets on.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. Another pitcher that has crazy movement on his pitches is Matt Brash. However, it's been an experiment on the mound, to say the least. Yes?
More like Matt Ass, am I right?
He's been okay. He hasn't been he's been all right. It's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for him. Is there something different about him this year? Are people figuring out his command issues? What do you think's going on with Brash?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's his command issues. I don't know if people are necessarily figuring it out as he's just putting himself in these situations. And I love Matt Brash. I really do. I got to give a shout out to my guy Lucario, who gave me a Matt Brash autographed baseball at the game the other day. That was cool.
Big shouts.
So, I mean, Matt Brash is great. I just think that he's basically a two-pitch guy. He's got the fastball and the slider. And if one of them's not on, he's non-competitive. And what we saw in the game yesterday against the Phillies is a lot of his fastball command looked relatively decent, but every now and again he just throws it in the other batter's box, and that's a pitch where if you're at the plate, you can see immediately out of his hand that is not going to be a strike.
Yeah.
So you can lay off that pitch, and I feel like it just kind of opens up an avenue where if he's not throwing from the same arm slot, like maybe he drops a little bit on his slider.
Sure.
They're going to be able to see it out of his hand, and they're going to be able to smash that pitch because they know exactly what's coming and they know where it's going to end up. It's to a lefty. It's probably going to end up either if he starts outside the zone, right in the middle of the zone, or it's going to come inside on him. They can lay off that pitch. So Matt Brash overall, I mean, he's still hitting 98, 99. He looks good. It's like the velocity's there, but what we saw out of him last year with his command, it just is non-existent right now. And it has been for most of the season, except for like the first game, except for when he faces Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
It's the only time his command's great.
He peaks against Jose Ramirez. I know
his
slider break was not, I think it was about 6 inches less, which is far too much when he faced the Guardians and he gave up against Will Brennan, right?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, so
when
that game, his slider movement, like I said, 6 inches, it's a lot, way too much.
6 inches is really big, guys.
So big. When your pitches aren't breaking how you're expecting them to, because you're right, he's going to start it on that outside corner off the plate, and if it's breaking 13 inches, it's cutting across the entirety of the plate. If it's breaking 7 inches, it's ending up in the middle of that plate, which is not where you want it to be. Maybe he's an adrenaline junkie and he just needs to get into those situations to then like feel something. I don't know. I'm glad he was used in the 6th. Yes, it was the meat of the order, how you brought up earlier, but had that been in the 8th inning, I would have been shitting my pants.
Yeah, honestly. And I don't think that he's like, as of right now, he's not a guy who should be seeing leverage situations. For the Mariners at that point, it was 5-1. Not necessarily a leverage situation, but like you said, it is the middle of the lineup. Maybe I would go with Justin Topa there, but I think that the 6th inning, I think, was the right point to use Matt Brash. There's still plenty of game left, so he can go in there. He can still face the high leverage guys, obviously the Trey Turners, Kyle Schwarbers, etc. of the world, but the game isn't on the line with him up there for the most part. He can, and did he give up a run?
He did.
I think he did. Yeah, he gave up one, and that was on a double.
It was a fielder's choice.
Oh, right. Yeah,
they couldn't get the ball back to first on the double play because Brash was worried about whether or not he had to cover home or go to first because Bohm hit the ball to France.
Right. Yeah, and then fielder's right. So
that's how the run scored.
Overall, I mean, I think he was fine today for the most part. He, relative to what we've seen, he's not the guy who's going out there and walking 3 straight. He's not giving us quite the Fernando Rodney experience, but he's getting close to the Fernando Rodney experience that we all knew back in like 2016 or whatever year that was, 2014. Sure. And I just don't think that right now he's the guy you can go to in those high leverage situations. But thankfully Topa has stepped up. Sewald's been decent, although he did give up a run today, but he still looked good. He's 7 for 7 in save opportunities.
Did he give up
Gabe
a run
Spires
today?
looked good. He did. He did give up a run.
Who are the main leverage guys out of the bullpen for you right now? Obviously, Seawald's the de facto closer, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You like Topa. Are you
Yeah.
leaning on Spire and Gott? Like, where are you at with those guys?
I think if I had to pick, if I had to do like
A traditional bullpen setup, like 2 setup guys and then a closer?
yeah, so if Paul was the traditional closer, setup guys would be Topa and Spire for me. I think middle relief would right now would be Brash and Diego.
Yeah.
And then we have Gott in there
Probably like the
somewhere,
7th.
like the 7th. Yeah. And
7th?
so 7th, 8th, 7th. Yeah, I think I would go, Seawald in the 9th, de facto, of course. And then, Spire and Topa are the guys right now. And obviously, when Munoz comes back, this bullpen gets a lot better. When Munoz comes back, I mean, send down Taylor Saucedo, but when Robbie Ray comes back, we had this conversation already. When Robbie Ray comes back, then what do you do? And that honestly might be sending down Matt Brash right now. I don't know if we're quite there yet.
You're sending down Diego Castillo.
We're sending down Diego Castillo, but Matt Brash is one of those guys right now that I don't trust, and I don't know if we can throw him out there in anything other than big leads or mop-up duty. So
that was a bold statement you just tried to throw out there. Sending Brash down. I think it would need to be a point where he has zero command. His command is okay at best.
Yeah.
And that's not something you can have in those high leverage situations where I think you're right. You need him in the 6th or 7th where you've still got a little bit of time to cover some ground if you have to. It's when he loses all command that's like, okay, put him back down. Get him some reps where he can be just dominant. Because if he was in AAA or AA or wherever he'd be, probably be in AAA, but he would be just...
Oh, he'd be the best pitcher down there.
Exactly,
for sure.
Yeah. I would be surprised if he gave up runs, basically. But it's the command that you need him to really hone in on. You mentioned Munoz. He should be back relatively soon, maybe in time for some City Connect vibes. Everybody see the City Connect leaks? I don't know. I'm gonna throw it out. I'm a fan.
I'm also a fan.
I've seen some mocks with the blue pants versus like some like gray pants. Rather some grays or some whites.
Please.
The blues would be too much.
Yellow striping or something.
Sure. Okay, I have a question. Aside from City Connects, Mariners cream Sundays, yellow belts. What are your thoughts?
Love them.
I don't like the yellow belts.
You disgust me.
I saw them like,
you disgust me.
Gross. I'd rather them be blue. I'd rather them be the blue. If I had to pick between yellow and blue, I'm picking the blue.
Yellow or blue cleats?
I think the yellow and the cleats could work better. But blue cleats work better. But I think if I had to switch there, if I had to pick which ones it would be, blue belt, yellow cleats. If I had to pick one for the other.
I'm a big fan of the Mariners yellow. I am. I think it's my favorite color of the colors they have.
I don't dislike it. I saw like Teo was wearing the belt. I'm like, that's a weird color for a belt on like some it's just I don't know how I felt about it. But City Connects, Colton. What's the deal with these guys?
Obviously, we can't really show you them for, the sake of not getting copyright struck. But the City Connects, I love the way that they're looking. And if you guys haven't seen the mock-ups or the leaks of them, they come out. They'll be out in 2 days. The Mariners team store is going to be shutting down, I'm sure, to basically just like hoe it up in there with a bunch of City Connect jerseys all over the place. I think they look really good. They're like that kind of classic Pilots blue with the gold lettering, and it looks kind of like a metal lettering, kind of like a trident.
Yeah.
And then they have the Soto Mojo in the background, not Mariner Mojo. I know. I was in talks with the guys there. Hey, didn't work out, and so they did Soto Mojo instead. They have the My Oh My on the bottom, the PNW patch. I don't love that patch. I understand why it's there.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks very good.
Out of the things that we've seen of these leaks, it's probably my least favorite part. I enjoy, like you said, the My Oh My, the Soto Mojo. Those like subtle, like nuanced things. The PNW is definitely my least favorite part as well. Yeah.
And like I said, if you want to see them, either A, you could wait a couple days and see them, or B, you can go online and Google it and you'll find it.
They'll be everywhere.
Very easy to find right now.
Yeah.
The Mariners are actually I don't know if other teams have been doing this, but the Mariners are throwing like a whole party for all of this.
Yeah.
I think super cool.
I saw that announcement and I'm like, this is like a big thing.
Like at the team store on Friday, they're gonna have like an open where you can come in and get your merchandise. They have like a DJ there and all this stuff at the stadium, which is just insane to think about. And like in the team store, and then they're doing like a Mariners watch party at the Hatback Bar and Grill next door,
Yeah.
and you get like 20% off if you're wearing City Connect jersey and all this stuff. They're having the whole party night there, and then the Saturday that
tell us about that Saturday.
I'm gonna be there on Saturday. I plan to be there. Nothing is confirmed yet, but I plan to on Saturday go to Pier 62, and I think it's from like 10 a.m. to like 9 p.m. or something crazy like that. The Mariners are gonna have food trucks there. They're gonna have DJs. You're gonna be able to get your City Connect merchandise, and they're just all at Pier 62, and they're just gonna be hanging out. I think that is so cool. It's like actually getting the city involved, and I know that the Mariners, they're doing a really good job. Like, it's called City Connect. They're doing a really good job connecting with the city. And I think one thing that's really cool with the All-Star game coming to Seattle this year is they're going to like hold things like, I think they're doing like the red carpet show and stuff at Pike Place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that. I've never seen it.
The city involvement is at an all-time high. And I think part of it also, like the team's success is huge. It's a big contributing factor there. If the team was 70 and 92 last year, would we see as big of an involvement, as big of a push for, this level of involvement? Probably not, for being realistic, but the city and the team are kind of, they're in the limelight. We're popping off. Seattle is a sports town. I'm not gonna hear anything else about it.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, you've had the 4 sports teams in Seattle right now. They've all made the playoffs, in their collective seasons. And
bring back our Sonics.
Just please. Saying. I love basketball. Woo!
You'd become a basketball fan as soon as the Sonics came back.
I mean, I don't remember a single time I ever watched hockey, and I've been watching hockey the last few nights. So down by Pier 62, where the Mariners are going to be having this little party thing, is also the Simply Seattle shop. Make sure you use code MOJO10 at checkout for 10% off, and go in there and say what's up. If you guys do happen to go to this party thing on Saturday, go in there and say, hey, Mariner Mojo sent us. Yeah. I don't know if it'll do you any good, but say it anyway.
Another starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners has a 3.57 ERA before their next start. Look it up. Logan Gilbert does. So does George Kirby, starting Game 3 against Matt Strahm, another lefty on the bump for the Phillies. How you feeling about George Kirby heading into Citizens Bank Park, Colty?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Citizens Bank Park is a very hitter-friendly park, and we know the Phillies have a very, very good lineup. I think that the Mariners have the edge pitching-wise. I honestly forget that Matt Strahm exists.
Dude, he struck out 11. He struck out 11 his last outing. He's a lefty too, so he's throwing a slider, and Mariners are going to be swinging like they got blindfolds on up there.
Matt Strahm struck out 11.
I'm pretty sure at one point. That's crazy, right? Yeah.
You're
right though. The Phillies got a great offensive lineup, just full of big bats. It feels like George pitches to a lot of contact. Gonna kind of hope the BABIP gods are on our side that day, but I don't know. This Game 1 win out of the way, Game 2, I feel like pretty even matchup between Gilbert and Taijuan Walker. I could see. I like our chances. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to say anything other than that, leaving it vague. I like our chances with Kirby in Game 3 as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Mariners going up against last year's NL champs, and I mean, they looked up to the challenge in Game 1. Game 2 and Game 3 are going to be pretty telling of, where the Mariners are at this point in the season, because we've seen them struggle versus the Brewers, but they played the Cardinals a little bit better than the Brewers, and, now they're playing the Phillies, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what the Mariners are looking like at this point, because 2 weeks ago, Mariners Twitter was in shambles, and now...
I mean, we still are a little bit, but...
Always. I mean, Mariners Twitter's always in shambles.
Yes.
But I think that the Mariners have the upper hand of these next 2 games now. I mean, again, like you said, Walker and Gilbert relatively even. Honestly, I might just give it to Walker just because he's, the vet. But Gilbert has never shied away from a challenge, and I think if anyone can handle a lineup like Phillies, I think it would be Logan Gilbert. George Kirby's a guy who isn't really going to walk many, and so he's going to be in and around the zone, and the Phillies know that. So a good contact team out of them. I think that George Kirby's definitely better than Matt Strahm, but we all know how the Mariners look against bad pitching.
You said it before, talking about making Miles Michaelis look like a Cy Young Award winner. Matt Strom, he's going to go out there, probably shove. But if a couple of the Mariners' hot bats stay hot throughout the entire series at Philadelphia, we got this in the bag, boys. Thank you guys for listening to episode 5 of the Hit It Here podcast, whether on YouTube or Spotify. We appreciate you very much. See you guys later. Go Mariners. Why are you kissing us?
I'm kissing you. I'm kissing the fans, bro.